Of storage, so this broadcast must be live. From St. Louis, Missouri. Good morning. It's the hamster. Mmm. Delicious coffee. So I was poking around the internet last night pretty late, watching some replicant fish. And I finally decided to give this Rebecca Barrett a listen. She's kind of caught on fire here. Been on Fresh and Fit and some other places. She's sort of an anti-F-bot. I don't know about anti. I'm certain a lot of these women you see are for women's rights. They're just not, at least anymore, radical, retarded cult members who believe in things that don't exist. I mean, that's what we're talking about here. When you talk about modern fembots, let's just look up the definition of a cult. You want a definition of a cult with a capital C? Let's see. A system, religious veneration and devotion directed toward a particular object or figure, the cult of St. Olaf. Okay. A relatively small group of people having religious beliefs or practices regarded by others as strange or sinister. Let's see. Cult of personality. A misplaced or excessive admiration for a particular person or thing. What happens if you believe in things that don't exist? And as a collective, you all believe that. And what happens when a non-believer who happens to be female, what happens when she decides to be a housewife? She's kicked out of the cult now, isn't she? What happens when we want more women of women in power in government and all kinds of stuff? What happens if the ones that get in power are not fembots? See, that doesn't count. You got to translate everything from these people. Everything. When they say they want more women in positions of power, especially in government, they don't mean normal women. They mean more of them. And if it's not them, then it doesn't count. And that woman suffers from internal misogyny. I mean, look at Amy Coney Barrett, Justice of the Supreme Court. Her hearing was, what, a little over a year ago or so. They tried to destroy this woman. Why? I thought you wanted more women in power. No. We need more Ruth Bader Ginsburgs, not Amy Coney Barrett. Do you see the difference? Of course you do. Because you're not stupid. A cult from Wikipedia. What does it say? In modern English, a social group that is defined by its unusual religious, spiritual, or philosophical beliefs. Well, what is the philosophical belief of the cult of feminism? It's women are oppressed. In 2021, in the West, in this right now, women in this country are paid less for the same job. There's a grapefruit culture. Women are being denied education. Women are that it's all victimhood bullshit. None of it is true. None of it. And yet, here they are. They have the ears and the attention of governments around this world. And their bullshit is just repeated. Oh, yeah, women paid. Something that has been disproven by reputable economists and people who know how to do these things. It can be debunked by a fourth grader. And yet the myth is allowed to continue. It is such utter bullshit. I mean, think about it. You could say, well, what about religions, hamster? Yeah, let's just say, for example, let's just say you're a Christian. And by some miraculous thing, there is proof that there is no God, there was no Jesus, In other words, everything you believed in is a lie. It was proof. It's, the other God or somebody came down and said that this isn't right. And it's somehow verifiable. And you still kept believing in your God, even though somehow it was proven he doesn't exist. That would be cult-like behavior, wouldn't it? Regardless of reality, you still believe. Does this sound familiar to anyone? Fembots? What do they concern themselves with? Well, the pay gap. Aren't enough women in positions of power. There aren't enough female engineers in STEM. There aren't enough this. There aren't enough that. Well, what is enough would be the first question, wouldn't it? Well, how do you define enough? Is it half? Okay. Well, then 30% of college students have to drop out to make room for more men. It's not 50-50. Never was it 50-50. It's a cult of bullshit. Anyone who looks into it scratches the Barrett a little bit down on the surface. It's bullshit, the whole thing. So what's the point of it then, Hammy? Well, we'll get to that here in a little bit. Let's see what Rebecca has to say. Did I turn on the sound? I hope so.
And the fourth
I did.
point that I want to make, and the fourth myth/problem with feminism is this whole sexual liberation movement.
No. That is the point, Rebecca. This is the big enchilada. Think about it very carefully. What do people object about the fembot movement? What do they object to women having jobs? I don't think so. Do they object to women, having boinks outside of marriage? Maybe a little, but not really that much. Women having go to college and get careers? Sure, fine, great. What is the one thing that many people disagree with? It's the rabid, never-ending riding of the carousel. Now, why does this happen? Oh, it's fun, hamster. Sure. It's also fun for men, but you know what? Men still have restrictions. Women have none. And no consequences for anything they do. Why was it so important to get women out fucking like bunnies? Out fucking like they claim men were doing, which they weren't. Why was this so important? We'll get to that. Good morning.
So many women have just attached themselves to this part of feminism.
As I said, it's a good selling point. Believe in our bullshit. Hey, you can go out and fuck all these guys for no consequences whatsoever in your life. No shame, no nothing. Just go and do it. You are strong and powerful. You go, girl, fishes, bicycles, all that other bullshit. Why was this so important? Go on.
It doesn't matter.
I mean, what would the world be like if all of the other things that, the fembots did, they got some of these stupid laws, like in 1978, you could get fired from your job if you were pregnant. How stupid is this? So that's gone. It's gone. It's perfect. Good. That's Equal Pay Act, all the other things, right? I don't think people would object to that. I don't want women's rights to be taken away. That's ridiculous. I mean, why would you want for half of humanity, you don't want them to have the same rights? I think that's stupid. But knowing that is really stupid, instead of making let me formulate my thoughts while we're listening to Rebecca.
Sex is sex. If he can do it, why can't I do it?
Because he wasn't doing it. Chad Thundercock was getting all the ladies back in the 60s. It wasn't average men. And most women weren't out banging Chad Thundercock either. There was a system in place, societal, contract, morals. There was the church influence. By the way, the church predicted all of this. Those evil evangelical Bible thumpers. And they were demonized because everyone who pushed for this stuff knew what the result would eventually be. Go on.
Feminism has taught us that we should be egalitarian and that whatever a man
Oh, for sure.
can
Yeah.
do is what a woman can do.
Now, remember, Rebecca is a reformed fembot. She used to believe in the bullshit. And I don't know what happened, but she figured out that it was bullshit. And that's good.
And unfortunately, baby, it's not. Your body is different.
Yes, it is. When it comes to reproduction, the female is more valuable. Absolutely.
We can get pregnant. Men can't get pregnant.
I mean, you can bitch. It's the reality. One guy can impregnate 100 women. 100 guys, one woman can only get pregnant once every 9 months. That's the freaking reality. So don't go bitching. Oh my God, man, what about our seed? Yeah, it's important. But if you ain't got no women, you ain't got no society. You're extinct, boys.
Women are more depressed now than we've ever been before, and that is not an accident.
No, it's all on purpose. Nothing is accidental, especially when it comes to this stuff, because it is socialism in a skirt. According to Karen Strong, Girl Writes What, and she was absolutely 100% correct. Oh, you and your damn socialism. Why do you want to starve children? It's always the bullshit excuse. Why do you hate children? And I'm hearing now with this Texas abortion law, which I disagree with. I think it's the six weeks or whatever. I think that's a bad idea. I mean, I don't like the idea of the abortion, but if it's legal, at least give women time. I mean, 6 weeks, you don't even know you're knocked up. Okay? Go on.
Society had said, you can do whatever you want. You can have sex with whoever you want. You can do whatever you want.
Here's the thing. It was do whatever you want, and in parentheses, down below, in smaller font, with no consequences. See, that's the big one. That's the biggie, the big kahuna. Oh, yeah, you can go out, ladies, and you can have all the sex you want with all the men you want, and there shall be no consequences. Rights without the responsibility. Now, if this were I don't know how you'd put it, fair, I don't know if that's the right word, but if, for example, in the case of, the carousel, if it were equally difficult for men and women to get some bumping uglies, right? If it were the same level of effort, you might have to just say, yeah, well, okay. But it's not. Women probably have 100x easier time. And I'm just pulling that out of the air because I can. Are you citing your study? It's a big multiplier. Easier time getting the hot beef injection than average men doing the injecting. That is just a fact of freaking life. So right away, there's an advantage there to being a chick, of course, right? So it's not the same. It's not the same. It's a football game, for example, with different rules for either side. And nowadays, the rules are changing all the time, and you never know exactly what the hell they are. For women in the West, there are absolutely zero consequences. permanent consequences for having all the sex you want. None. Zero zip nada, except maybe a case of herpes. However, men, if you're dealing in the dating world and casual hookups and stuff, what you are doing, gentlemen, is you're playing Russian roulette with a revolver that has 5 bullets instead of 1. They're trying to separate us as men and women, and they've done a hell of a good job. And there are a lot of reasons for that. But the one thing, if you read that little book from 1848 by a man named Karl Marx, the philosopher, break apart the family. You think this is accidental? I think it just happened this way. No, sirree, Bob. This is a plan. And it was a plan for 100 years, probably prior to when the big revolution in the cities happened, right? Go on.
The problem is, if you don't have any discipline, if you don't have any constraints on yourself and
she rambles here a little bit. The point is, and she's exactly right, it is an open loop system for the female in the West. There are no feedback loops. I've said this before and I'll say it again. There is nothing that tells females what they should or should not do. Legally, morally, the church. Zero. Nothing. And when something comes along that might push back on this activity a little bit, what are you? You're evil. You're a misogynist. Why do you think men should be able to do that and not women? It's unfair, blah, 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 blah. You've heard it a zillion times, have you not? Because men can do it. No, the men that you want probably can do it. And the men that you wanted in the 1960s were doing it, probably. Average men never had that access to pussy. Not like these guys. And certainly not like today. I mean, back in the 60s, you had a certain group of women, you might call them Jezebels, that were servicing all these chads and what have you. But average Joe and Jane, they weren't in general banging. They were doing other stuff, right? It's not that they weren't having a little fun. They just weren't doing the big nasty, because that, of course, could lead to pregnancy and a shotgun wedding kind of thing. So what happened in 1960? Why is that year so important?
have actual self-awareness and responsibility of your own self, guess what? You're going to be empty.
If no one is enforcing someone to behave, so to speak, if there's no moral code anymore, there's no church involved, there's a bunch of simps who don't care what her body count is. They just want to taste that sweet puñada. They don't care. Single mothers, all of this stuff that used to be shameful now is totally acceptable. Anything she does is acceptable. And if you don't like it, you evil man, you're a misogynist prick from hell. And you want to put women back in the kitchen, barefoot and pregnant, don't you? That's what they say. I just turned my fan on. I don't want to drop out. All right. Good morning, guys. How are you? Let's go back. I'll hit the comments here a little later. I see Thumper's in here. Hello, Thumper. Good morning. How is it up in Michigan? Is it cold yet? Still thousands of degrees here in Missouri. Okay, Rebecca, go on.
Younger women are told it's okay to be sexual. It's okay to explore that. It's okay to just sleep with whoever you want.
It's not only okay, Rebecca. It's the mark of a modern whammon. Get your notch count as high as you can, baby, before you settle down. And there are no consequences. As a matter of fact, the behavior is supported, encouraged, and anything that goes against that is misogyny and oppression of the women. You see how they worked this? It's beautiful propaganda. I mean, this shit would make Goebbels fucking blush. This would make Joseph Goebbels from that party in Germany in the 30s and 40s, he would be embarrassed at this bullshit. I mean, how do you think they sold women cigarettes in the 1920s? Women didn't smoke back then. They called cigarettes freedom torches. Freedom torches to smoke and get cancer. Freedom torches. How in the world, and I'm not saying anything about abortion. I personally am against it, but I'll never have to have one. But how in the world did we get to the point where a baby or a fetus or a lump of freaking cells is not a thing? Just a lump of cells. It's going to be a human being. Like I said, man, Goebbels never even thought of bullshit like this. Oh, of course he did, you know. Jewish people are dogs and devils and all that other fucking crap. But it's straight out of the same playbook. It's propaganda at its finest. And just like the Germans in the 30s, it's all fucking lies. It's bullshit. There is not one thing the current crop of fembots are talking about that's actual. That's actually happening in reality. Nothing. It's all bullshit. It's amazing. It's amazing to me that so many women have fallen for this. Well, why would they have fallen for all this bullshit? Because the deal was made sweet. You can fuck whoever you want as many times as you want, and there are no consequences for you, ladies. You go, girl. That is the foundation of feminism. Jobs and all that shit. There's economics. You could talk about that and blah, 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 blah. But the bottom line is the fuck fest. That was the important thing. Now, is it a coincidence that all of these revolutions happened right after the introduction of the birth control pill? Anyone? Bueller? Anyone? Of course not. It's not a coincidence. It is. It's the cause and effect, guys. For you see, women, and in some cases, women were out having lots of fun, whatever. But there was always the chance you could get knocked up. Abortion was not widely available. Condoms were, but there was no birth control pill. And so just the lack of that kept things a little bit in check, because you literally could get pregnant. That's what I know. It's biology. It's crazy. After the introduction of the birth control pill, when this stuff all started taking off, it was, boiling, simmering in the background, certainly. So after the pill was introduced, we had to get rid of the church influence in this country. Got to get rid of those damn Catholics, those Christians. They just want to oppress women. That's how it was sold. That's what they believed at the time. Now, when the birth control pill was first introduced, I think it was around 1960, 1959, somewhere in there, it was marketed to married women who wanted to be able to, enjoy the bada bing, being married, but not have babies every year. Understandable, perfectly acceptable. I get it, because there were women that had a lot of babies, and it's like, I don't want to have 15 kids or whatever. And I get it. Totally. So how long after do you think people started bitching that these pills, they legally were not available to single women? Which is kind of silly if you think about it. But on the other side of that, it's like, well, you're not married, so why would you be having kids? See, different moral structure, framework at the time. Why do you need that? You don't need it. You're not married. Why would you be having babies? Right? So very shortly after the birth control pill was introduced, lawsuits started flying. And in 1965, I think it was 65, in Griswold versus Connecticut, it was determined that single women could not be denied the birth control pill. Well, fancy that, huh? Right after they're introduced, there's lawsuits filed. Who'd have thunk about that? So what did that do? Well, it allowed women, married or not. I mean, it was stupid. Well, yeah, it was definitely patriarchal, right? You had to have the permission of your husband, and it just, what is this? Thank God, that was 60, 70 years ago. See, we're not there anymore. You get it? Fembots, you understand we don't live in 1960? Sometimes I wonder if they realize that. And so what happened? Well, more people started having boom outside of marriage. Well, what happened after that? Well, as you well know, the birth control pill is not all that effective, especially the way normal people take it. You're supposed to tell, I believe, maybe I'm wrong here, and there was very few other forms of birth control, right? Condoms and pills. That was about it. And then all the revolutionary stuff that came later, diaphragms and other stuff, sponges down the line. And now we have tons of stuff that women can use to do that. And of course, we have nothing for men except a rubber and a vasectomy. That's it. Shocking. I wonder why they want to provide all these birth control things for women. Ideas, boys. Anyone? Do you see how it all comes together when you start looking at it? After all, we live in an evil patriarchy, don't we? So why don't we have a male birth control thing? Anyway, so when all these women started getting on the pill, and of course they didn't have a terribly good understanding of it, a bunch of chicks started getting knocked up because the pill isn't all that effective when used by itself. I think it's a 1 in 3 chance without anything, and for the pill, it's like a 1 in 10 or 1 in 7 or something. It's better than nothing, but it's not much better than nothing. Actually, if you use a condom and a pill, then it's much better, much more effective. So always use 2 forms of birth control, boys. Don't stick it in raw dog. As much as it's fun, just don't do it. So a bunch of girls getting pregnant. Well, that's not a consequence-free life, is it? Oh, no. See, you still can't go out and bada bing all you want because you might get knocked up, even when you're on the pill. So what happened in, was it 1973? Oh, yes, abortion was made legal in all 50 states because it's in the Constitution. You haven't read it in the 14th Amendment? It's right there. Can't you? What are you, one of them heathens you can't read? Oh, it's not in the Constitution, obviously. But the Supreme Court found a workaround. It said, well, here and there, and we do this, and it's in the shadows of the penumbras. But anyway, the point is, now sex was getting very, very close to being consequence-free, wasn't it? For a little bit of money, you get knocked up, go get an abortion. And now today, it's a lot easier. You don't even have to go get an abortion. You get a pill, or you do whatever the hell you want, right? So in a short span of roughly 10, 12 years, we went from somewhat sedated with respect to people running around fucking to a full-out fuck fest. Key parties, all kinds of crazy shit, kinky stuff. And, of course, the beneficiaries of this were women, of course. They got to do, and Chad Thundercock. Revolution benefited women and Chad, not average guys, but what do I know? So as you can see, when you start piecing it all together, and it's not really that hard for people to see, even Stevie Wonder could figure this one out. That has been the goal. of the second wave fembots in the 60s to get women out fucking with no consequences. However, let's look at men. What was the consequence that you might have had in, say, 1960 for you if you got a girl knocked up? What would be the thing here? Well, you'd get married, shotgun wedding, insta family. There you go. Got a baby. Gee, that baby was a little premature. It was born 6 months after the wedding. Yeah, no, isn't that crazy? Must be the water over in that county. Right. Sure. Anything you say. So you would be forced to become married. And if you weren't, society would put this just loads of shit down on you, deadbeat, SOB, you need to take care. And the dad would come with the shotgun and the whole works, right? The church says you have to step up and do the right thing, right? Get married to the woman and support your child, you evil bastard. You did the nasty. You got to pay. Okay. So what do we have today? We have the government, by law, forcing men to become parents against their will. It's all legal and everything. It's right there in the law. So the consequences of men, except for the marriage part, because that's, that was a different time. Consequences for men can be very, very severe, up to and including the government forcing him to do something with his wallet that he might not want to do. So the consequences are severe, potentially, for men, but not for women. Like I said, when you're out there having fun, it's 5 rounds in the 6-shooter and you're playing Russian roulette. Not only with respect to getting someone pregnant and having a child that you might not want, but you will be forced to support for 18 years, if not longer. But there's allegations. There could be career-ruining allegations and get you kicked out of college. You could find yourself in jail if she had one too many drinks that night. You see my point? So not only do men have the same expectations that they did 60 years ago with respect to the boinking, there are now even more hardships and hazards in this minefield for men only, but not for women. Why do you think they push back so hard when Texas passes a law like the 6-week thing? Because that is the fundamental foundation of feminism, to get women out fucking as many guys as they can with no consequence. That's what it was always about. And why is that? Because it destroys the family. 1848, Communist Manifesto.
And no, it's not. We were not wired this way biologically.
Now, do you think the people who came up with these ideas, the psychologists and whoever ran it, Bernays is one guy and Freud is the other guy and a bunch of other people, do you think they didn't understand the differences between men and women when they instituted this whole game in the 1960s? Of course they did. They knew that the more women went out and did whatever they wanted to with respect to that, it would undermine their ability to bond with one man. Do you understand the freaking point? And we don't even have to go down that road, but they just traded a husband for the government, by the way, with the welfare state, et cetera, and so on. But I can assure you, without the birth control pill and without abortion, we would not be in the situation we are in, at least not as severe. But maybe we would be, because we got a lot of birth control out there right now. So go on.
Hence why we can only get pregnant once a year, basically. Why our bodies take longer after we give birth to then do it again. While men can literally inseminate every woman he sleeps with.
Why do we have Title IX, by the way, guys? Title IX is a college kangaroo court shit. Because women, they do stupid things. They get drunk and they want to get laid and gangbanged and Richard salad, spit roasted, all that other stuff. Because they're young and they're horny. They want to have fun. I get it. But having to face the possibility of being slut-shamed by other women, men are not slut-shamers and we never have been. 80, 70 years ago. Not today. Please stop with this bullshit. Men do not slut-shame women in general. However, women do. So in order to escape the consequences of perhaps being slut-shamed, she just said that something happened that she didn't agree to. Do you understand, people? Do you? Everything revolves around the female not having any consequences or responsibilities for anything she does. There's always someone else to blame, and there's always a way out. That's what feminism is all about and always has been all about. It's very, very, very clever. I mean, you got to give it to them. They really thought this one through. Well, at least the ones in charge of wherever, somewhere. The useful idiots on the road, the average woman, fembot, just they don't know what the hell's going on. They just know they want and they want and they want, and there's never enough. Ever. But go on.
Why would you want to have sex with as many men as you like?
It's fun. I mean, let's just cut through the bullshit. It's fun. That's why. It's exciting. It's different. You get the exciting new experiences. I understand the appeal, certainly. I do.
You are devaluing your currency.
But you know what else is fun? Drinking tons of beer and eating large pizzas all the time and eating ice cream and smoking cigarettes and injecting drugs. That's fun too. Yeah. But the consequences are there for all of that stuff. But not for women fucking. Nothing. Zero. No feedback.
You are devaluing who you are. And we're seeing women like these porn stars that are out there that are empty shells of who they are.
Yeah. Well, I don't know who you're talking about here, Rebecca. It could be that this particular woman was somehow abused. Unfortunately, there tends to be some of that stuff that runs in parallel there. It's sad.
I watched Lana Rhoades, I believe is her name, her podcast talking about the shameful things that happened to her on set, the things that she had to do. You could see the pain in her eyes. Why do you want to suffer the same pain?
I don't know why you're conflating women out having fun with someone in that industry. That's a little weird. Because it's not the same, it's not the same. But okay, go ahead.
You need to take personal responsibility, personal accountability for the actions that you take. We are not victims.
Rebecca, dear, as I just explained over the last 15 minutes or whatever, the entire idea of feminism is to remove responsibility from people, women. That's what it always has been about. It's so hilarious when you watch some, especially the TikTok videos and these women. We just need the old-fashioned man to open doors for me and shit. You blew up the contract, girls. You said you wanted it this way. Now it's this way. What did you expect? It's just mind-boggling to me. This is what the fembots, the foremothers, wanted for you. And you gladly partook until you were ready, and now you're bitching. I want old-fashioned men. They're gone. They are gone.
Women are not victims.
If you don't want to go back to being in the kitchen making supper for your man, don't expect men to act like the gentlemen. You can't just have everything and expect everybody else to change because you want them to. Sorry. Hate to be a shithead.
Life gets better on the other side. And I'm talking to the women who have tried it every other way. If you are perfectly content, if you have the best career, if you literally don't care, if you...
Earlier in the video, I'll put the link here. Let me link it so you can look at it. Sorry. Sorry, Rebecca. I'll put the link in the description here somewhere in the chat. Boom. Paste. Do. Okay. All right. Let's get back to Rebecca. She's almost done here.
Never have children or marriage or anything, then great. Good.
I mean, that's the whole thing. It's like, if you want to be a career woman, go. You have the world is your oyster. Go. Have fun. That's fine. Go ride some carousels. Do whatever the hell you want. It doesn't matter to me. It's none of my business. You do what you want. But there will eventually be a consequence that you cannot get around. It's called the wall. That one you cannot remove. Sorry.
On you.
And I feel in some ways sad. You watch some of these videos and these women are literally heartbroken. They don't understand. They did all they were supposed to do. They ride in the carousel in their 20s. They got the big career and all that. And they're 38 and they can't find a man to commit. Well, certainly not a man that they would find suitable. It's sad. The time to do all that crap is when you're young, not when you're 40, because it's really, really hard. You'll find plenty of guys that'll bang you. And women misinterpret that intentionally as attention. And, oh, my God, look at all these men. In case you hadn't figured out, ladies, men are dogs. Woof.
But if you're a woman who has been struggling, who has been wanting to have marriage and children, and you're suffering because of the hands of modern feminism, then please listen to what I have to say.
I wish they would just call it what it is. It's communism. It's socialism. It's anti-capitalism. When they say the patriarchy, they really mean capitalism. They're just mispronouncing it. Don't ever forget that.
Absorb this knowledge. Share it with your friends. Share it with other people. Get the word out. We don't have to live that way anymore.
You can live any way you want, but tell me this, dear Rebecca. You've got people who consider themselves fembots who actually believe in the bullshit these people are spewing. They think it's actually happening. Wage gaps and cultures and all this other crap. When it's not. 1 in 5 on college campuses. How many times have you heard? Now it's 1 in 4, 1 in 3, whatever the hell it is, right? There is no data, nowhere, no reality to support this bullshit assertion. As a matter of fact, it's so low on some college campuses. That's not 1 in 5. It's not even 1 in 500. Still too many, granted. But it's nowhere near that. How do you know? It's called the Clary Report. Look it up. Nothing in the data supports this. And yet you have women running around, Rebecca, who actually believe this. Does anyone believe, let's just take for example, that if this were actually happening, that the National fucking Guard wouldn't be based at every college campus? Do you think something would not have been done? Billions of dollars would be spent to put cops everywhere all over these college campuses. And yet, they're not there. Why is that? Because it's not happening.
There is hope on the other side of this, but it requires work. It requires intentionality.
And what happens when we do get to 50-50? Nothing. We just keep going. Estimated women will be 75% of college students in just a few years. 75. 3 out of 4. Actually, it's 2 to 1. Whatever. It's going to be twice as many women as men. Because right now it's not quite twice as many, but it's getting there, right? So like 70-35, right? Twice as many. What are we going to do about that? Well, it's not a problem. See, that's because men are stupid. And what are the consequences of such things, people? Well, women generally will not date. Well, let's be clear. They will not marry someone who is not at least as educated as them or higher. So what happens when women outnumber men, college graduates, by 2 to 1? And what happens when those college graduate men, only 14% of them are 6 foot or taller? Do we see anything going to happen here? Just curious.
You can't just wish it to
Ray Charles could see this one coming.
come true.
I mean, you think the women bitching now they can't find a decent guy? Define decent. Just wait till women hold twice the number of college degrees compared to men. You ain't seen nothing yet, baby.
It requires you to put in the work, to put in the self-work in order to make it happen.
Now, I've said this several times, and I'll say it again. The people who designed this, the ones at the top echelon fembots, they knew what the consequences were going to be. They knew exactly where it was going. The church in the 1960s knew where this was going to go, and they were called evil oppressors and all that shit for even bringing it. No, it's not. It'll never be that way. And then 5 years later, single women got the pill. You see how this works? It's incremental. But it really has gone exponential here as of late. The useful idiots don't know. They don't care. But they do vote. You understand me? You feel me? They don't know where this is going. They don't give a shit. They don't look ahead. It's me, now. I don't care. Why do you think we have so many women having fun until they reach about 37, 38 years old, and then suddenly it's a man drought and they can't get married and men are evil? Because these useful idiots do not think ahead. They don't think ahead, or they think they will be the exception. Not them. They're going to find Prince Charming or whatever they're looking for. Just those other women won't. Oh, God, it's insanity.
So that is my video. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe down below. Turn on your post notifications. It really helps my channel. And I will see you guys in my next video.
All right. Thanks, Rebecca. But again, she's right on the edge. She's right on the edge. Why do they? Because that's the reason. That's why they encourage women to go out and ride the polls, as many as possible. That was the plan, Rebecca. What did you think was going to happen when you take all the fetters away? With no societal shame, there's no consequence. What the hell do you think is going to happen? I mean, what if men, for example, men being woof woof, if we had no consequences for screwing as many women as we can, whether we got them pregnant, it didn't matter. Do you think men would just, well, we're not going to do that because some would. But I think a lot more guys would be out there doing what they can to, you know what I'm saying. If you take away the feedback loop, things get out of control as intended from the start. All right. Let's go read some comments. Good to see you guys this morning. Hello. Let's see who's in the chat here. Thumper's here. Man's Redemption, maybe. Hello. Don Schmidtke. Hello. How are you? Jerry C. Billy the Goat. YouTube trailer park. Oops. Did I say? Oh, God. Ooh. Yes. Well, it's good to see you guys. Hope you enjoyed the thing. Yeah, go see Rebecca's stuff. She's pretty good. It's pretty good. J.E. is here. Hello. Yes, coffee. I need to go get another cup here. I hope I shut the thing off because then the coffee burns if you leave it in there too long. I don't like that. Jerry C., old-fashioned men like Elvis have left the building. And they ain't coming back. It's so funny to me. Oh my God! Wow, where are these real men? These old-fashioned men who pay for dinner and stuff. It's like, dude, your foremothers, your sisters from past. This is what they wanted, but actually, it's not. They wanted their freedom, but they didn't want anything to change on the side of men. Are you kidding me? Seriously. And we could talk about the economics. Well, back then, one man could work and raise a family. Yes. What happens to the wages if you double the workforce? I'm just curious if you understand supply and demand. Just wondering. Just curious. They claim they don't shame me for high body count because men do it too. Does a road sweeper, hospital porter, or sewage worker, or bin man have a high body count? No. Probably not. You see, garbage man, as we would call them here in the United States, or, trash collector, whatever. Yeah, they get lucky once in a while, sure. Some of these chicks, they go slumming and they just want a big hulky guy and they say, oh, I want to try one of those, but not to marry. It's just to bang. Ms. Reeds, intersectional feminists make zero sense, whatever. Why do we even bother? Here's the, Divina Duckworth. Hello. Wrong. I don't know anything about whoever that person is, but no, this is really a good point. Now, we are told, are we not, by the very same people, the fembots in general in these movements, the intersectional blah blah blah, and the whatever, the LGBT, the changers, what is it, the trans people, that at any time, anywhere, for any reason, you can be any gender that you want to be. Is that right? That's what they believe, right? And on the other hand, they say there aren't enough women who are CEOs. Well, all we got to do is have the CEOs that are men say, I identify as a female. Problem solved. No. I didn't think that was going to go over, right? J.E., the progressives figured out in 1905 there was a huge untapped voter pool that they could easily manipulate into a power block that would never weaken. It took them 15 years to integrate that. Bingo. Most advertisements, and I've said this before, most advertisements are targeted at women. You think there's a reason? Just saying. I'm not saying women are stupid. Don't get me wrong. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that women perhaps are a little more influential, or be allowed to, they're influenced more easily. Thank you for using real words there. Remember when the government was against experimenting with drugs? Yep, I certainly do. The war on drugs, Nancy Reagan, yeah. You remember in the mid-1980s, it was the Democrats who wanted to put labels on records to keep it away from the ears of the kiddies. Because it's evil. Those rock and roll people. It's satanic and all that other bullshit. Yeah. As early, it's just 30 years ago, they were still doing that. I don't know. Do records come with stickers on them anymore? I don't even know. Parents Research Council, I think it was. Maybe not the right word, but okay. Zombro says, as Gavin McGinnis, the great man, says, they want equality and all the fun stuff. Yep. Abso-fucking-lutely. But not in the draft, not any of that. So how are they gonna work this one? And I mean, really, what it comes down, and I say this, the socialism. Okay, call it whatever the hell you want. They want the government to be more powerful, to be able to influence companies to put women on boards and force 50% of this and whatever, blah blah. That's the only way it's going to happen, right? If you want 50% of women to be in engineering, someone's going to have to force them. Because there's nothing holding women back right now from getting into engineering, except they don't choose it. And so what about that my body, my choice thing? What if I don't want to be an engineer? Well, tough, Janie, you're going to be one because we have a quota to fill. You wanted the powerful government to be able to do this for you, and now we're doing it. That's not going to fly, people. But again, the useful idiots, they don't understand. They don't get it. They just want. But the ones at the top know this. Oh, God, do they know it? They just want to make government really, really big. Huge. More power. Look what's happening right now with certain things that are going on, that are still going on, after we did everything they said we should do to stop it from going on. Yeah. Man's redemption, maybe. If the draft happened in 2022 and women were excluded, men would be pointing out the hypocrisy as they board the plane. I know. And the stupid arguments they use. Wow, we haven't had a draft. Why haven't a draft since the 70s? Why are you men such pussies? That argument is for you signing up for the draft, you dumbass female. If there hasn't been a draft since the 70s, what are you worried about? Duh. I mean, it's so inane. It's so idiotic. It's such bullshit. And then you have these men, I don't want my daughters in the front lines. Who says they're going to the front lines if there's a war and a draft? Who says that? No one. They'll all get pregnant anyway if there's a draft and they have to go. We all know that's going to happen. To serve man is a cookbook. Indeed. That was a good one. Was that Twilight Zone? I think it was. By forcing 50-50, you will eventually turn away great engineers, doctors, nurses, because there won't be any room for them. Boom. Bingo. But you see, when it comes to 50-50 in college, that's never going to happen. The government is just not going to mandate that, that extra 20% of female has to go away. Got to get more men in there. Not going to happen. Never. But the smart guys, they're still going to college, but they're taking useful things like engineering, medicine. So are women. The ones that aren't taking useful shit, they're just taking up space and wasting money on their gender studies degree. Speaking of college, I think Amazon is going to start offering a tuition-paid 4-year degree if you work for them. So if I were a young person, I'd go work for Amazon and get that free goodies. Hell yeah, I'll stack packages if you pay for my college degree. Why not? I wonder if there'll be a caveat. Hold on. What did I do? Thumper, hold your tongue. Got a lot to say about that. What did you say, Thumper? Davina Duckworth, they keep lowering the bar to allow women into the military and STEM. Well, I don't know about STEM. I don't know about I don't know that to be true. I think there were some women that actually got through the male version of whatever it is, the Marine training course. So that's cool. Good for them. But I mean, the fact remains, women and men are different. Men are stronger and whatever, and blah, 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 right? Last study showed 39% of college students were men. Yeah, that's about right. They're expecting 2 to 1 in just a short number of years. So like 70% to 35%. Crazy. Right? Crazy. I think is my math right? 7 out of 10 means 3. Sure, whatever. 2 or 2 for 1. Fine. You can't do math. I know. I'm an engineer. Thumper says he has experience with that in the Air Force. Yeah, I'm the Chair Force. Yep, I'm certain. Yep. Thumper says what? What are you saying here? I can tell you how. I know. It's not just in the military either. It's in a lot of jobs where, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, in the industry, engineering I'm in, we need managers, and women tend to gravitate toward being manager types. That's fine. That's good. Good for them. We need, management. We need program managers. We need schedule people. We need all kinds of stuff. So there's plenty of opportunities. But you just got to get the engineering degree. And there's nothing stopping you from getting that, ladies. There are no big evil men at the college when you go sign up for classes. Oh, you want calculus? Sorry, you're a woman. No, it's not happening. Come on, it's bullshit. As I said over and over again, everything they talk about is bullshit. Provably not true. Ladies in the elites are panicking about the ratio because marriage rates are dropping off the cliff and birth rates. Yeah, indeed. I mean, any man who gets married today, and I think I can say without hesitation, what is wrong with you? Why would you sign a legal document that is guaranteed to be bad against you if it falls apart? Again, that's the Russian roulette. You're playing with 3 bullets when you get married in the gun and pulling the trigger and hoping everything. The hope strategy is not good. It's not a good way to go. Mohammed, good morning. Hello from Egypt. Jerry C. STEM. Please ask a woman what an IP. Come on now. There are very good female engineers. I mean, there's no question about that. But your average chick, probably not. It just doesn't seem to be a thing. I mean, when I was in school, I had 2 of the engineers. We were on a team, so I think they were the only 2. There might have been one more out of all the rest were men. Terrible. And that was when there were more females in engineering. This was in the early 90s. So yeah, it's crazy. 5:06 p.m. in Egypt. All right. Well, thanks for checking in there, boss. Nerb Yelik in the UK. Most new doctors are female, yet we have an increasing doctor shortage as they don't complete their careers and decide to have families in their mid-30s. Well, I mean, I'm glad they have the option, but yeah, you're right. Yeah. And I mean, somebody made that argument. And I can't remember who it was. Maybe Mark Levin or Michael Savage. I'm not sure. But the general idea was there was a reason why that probably back in the day, it was the men who were trained as doctors because of this reason. Women would get pregnant. They wouldn't have time because they'd have to take care of their own family. And this, hundreds of years ago. It makes sense because the men, of course, that was their profession and whatever. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that's what it was. Eric Zombro, look at this. Yellock, the average UK female doctor only works in the profession 6 to 8 years. Really? So let's see now. In the United Kingdom, is college free? Is it supported by the state through taxpayers? I don't know about that, but I think it is. I think it's a little different. So a lot of money is being spent to train female doctors, and then they drop out after 6 years. That doesn't sound like a good investment to me. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, you'd hope that they could still have kids and go back to being a doctor after the kids are a little older. I mean, it doesn't mean they have to permanently drop out, but maybe they do. I don't know. I don't know what the question I don't know the full story. So anyway, I will sign off. Oh yeah. Let's see. Undead Chronic did a stream yesterday. I was supposed to be there. I napped through it and I thought, well, if I show up a little late, I mean, he's always kind of late a little bit. Well, I got there too late. So we'll try again next time. All right, guys, might do something later. We'll see. I'm going to get some coffee. Bye. Have a good